at Mary L. Cook Library on day after Thanksgiving, 2002, interviewing Mr. Andrew S. Churko.
Okay, I was really born in Toledo, Ohio, December 6, 1920, and I went to a parochial school, which was St. Stephen's Catholic School. That was to my 8th grade, and then from the 8th grade I went into a vocational school, and which is Maycomber Vocational School. Spent 3 years there, and I had a little rough time, so I quit and went into the 3 C's for a year, and then I came back and finished my high school on that then. So if I can't remember dates on it, if I could remember dates, I can figure it out on that then. So in December 7th, I decided, when I turned 21, on December the 6th, which was on a Saturday, I had decided on the Friday before that I was going to go into the service. And December 7th was Pearl Harbor Day. And being Pearl Harbor Day, I called my sister and told her I was going to go into the service. That was on Saturday, and Sunday was Pearl Harbor Day. And on December 10th, I went into the Army Air Force, which was on December 7th in 1941 then. Went into the Army Air Force, and I was inducted at Fort Hays in Columbus, and from Columbus we shipped down to Moody Field, and I spent some time down there. Oh, must be about a year and a half or so at Moody Field, and I was as an aircraft mechanic, because it was an aircraft mechanic, and then from there they finally shipped me to a school down in Biloxi, Mississippi. Went to aircraft school in Biloxi, Mississippi, and then when I got back from Biloxi, Mississippi, we was there about 6 months, aircraft school, and then came back and finally was assigned to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I was at that base, and I was a B-24 mechanic then, and finally ended up as I ended up as staff sergeant, really, and became staff sergeant. That's what I ended up with. And there I worked there and it was pretty rough working there at Murfreesboro, Tennessee, because we were training pilots to go overseas, and we worked from 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. And we got 1 day off every 2 weeks on a Sunday, and that's how much work we had to put in, because these pilots were being trained and getting ready to be shipped overseas into the, especially into the Pacific area. And then from there, finally was sent, packed up and shipped, went overseas, and it was quite a long trip going overseas, because what they did was we went out of New York, out of the harbor of New York, and got in there and went through the Panama Canal, and I spent 48 days on a boat getting to New Guinea, and that was a pretty hectic 48 days, and practically nothing to do on a boat really. And naturally they weren't allowed to play cards because they would be gambling, so they watched it pretty close. In fact, when they processed you, they didn't let you take any money along. They only let you have just a few dollars, maybe $10, $20, enough to get by, and the rest of it they asked you to be sent home because of the cut out the gambling, I imagine. So I didn't realize that until later on. It's why I had to send most of my money home, and I had to send it to my sister because I didn't have any parents, and my sister took care of it. She took it to banked it for me, and then when I got out of the service, all my money was there. My sister took care of me there on that, and so that was pretty good there. So, and when I got out of the service, I was planning on going to school. Well, first I talked to a coordinator. I went to a vocational coordinator in Toledo, and asked him, you know, I wanted to get some kind of education. So he said, well, I was interested in aircraft mechanics, so they sent me, suggested to go to California, out to Cal Aero Tech. And out there was an engineering course, an aircraft engineering course, and I stayed over there for a little while, it was rather unhappy because I met a couple of buddies there, and what happened is our math teacher got a job at John Brown University. So we checked into it, and my buddy went down to the Los Angeles office because they had an office there, and Dr. Brown, who was the founder of John Brown University, so he went down there and brought back literature and looked over the literature and finally decided. In fact, I was roommate with a Jewish fellow from Canada. He was strictly a Jewish person, and he says, did you read this catalog over? He says, you're a Catholic. He says, that's a Protestant school. I says, I don't care. I don't care about what it is or anything else. I was not that strong of a Catholic in the first place. And so we took off, and see what happened is this math teacher got a job, and we followed him, and there's 4 of us actually followed him, and 2 of us stuck it out and graduated from John Brown University. And graduated, and I was about 46 and graduated 49. Graduated in 3 years and spent, I think, maybe, I don't know for sure, but there was 1 summer school or 2 summer school because they finally cut out summer school at John Brown University. And it was a Christian college in the first place, which was real nice. And there's where I met my wife. She was the organist, the university organist, and got married right there in Siloam Springs, Arkansas. And so that's part of it there.
So you were in New Guinea?
Huh?
So you went to New Guinea?
Well, that was later on, because I went back and well, I can't recall the dates really. Too much on it really. It's to went into the service, and see, my wife passed away in 91, so well, wait a minute, I'm getting all messed up here. And when I got out of service, I went to John Brown University, and that's where I met my wife at the university. She was the university organist and taught music and theory and stuff, and that's where. And I got married in Siloam Springs, Arkansas then. Okay. But I can't remember dates. I mean, I should have maybe looked up some of the dates, but didn't have to do it.
Okay. But during the service, you spent time in New Guinea?
Yeah, I spent must have been about at least 16 months in New Guinea, and then from New Guinea, we were shipped up to the Philippines, and I wasn't there about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks or so, and then the war was over. And it was really surprising because as soon as they said the war's over, and within 3 days I was shipped out of the Philippines and shipped home, and I was out of the service. And that was in January, well, it was around January the 6th, and after that was, must have been, 46th, and I think it was about January 6th, 46 when I got out of the service, really.
So you had a lot of points, right? You had a lot of points? Well,
I got 49 years, and I don't, points didn't mean anything at that time, really. Okay. I mean, I know, as far as points, I didn't work on points at all. I mean, right. I don't think that we ever had points. I don't remember anything about points at all.
Okay. Okay. So when you were in New Guinea, what were you doing?
In New Guinea?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was an aircraft mechanic.
Okay.
And in fact, I had a crew chief. I had a rank of staff sergeant, so I didn't have to do the work. All I had was, and we worked on B-24s. And every 50 hours, those 4 engines would be, I had a crew, because we had 4 crews, 4 engines, 4 crews. And so I had a crew to work on one, and every 50 hours, these B-24s, they were inspected, spark plug change, oil change, and everything. And then every 100 hours, those motors were taken off, replaced, and put new motors on them every 100 hours. So you had 4 engines there, and you had 4 crews, so it didn't take, you know, one crew, it took 4 crews, because 4 engines, 4 crews, and take them off, put them on, and get them back into service. And what they were doing is really training pilots for overseas in the B-24s. And these pilots, naturally, they were operating 24 hours a day practically, and get him going. So we were in Murfreesboro. When I was in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, I worked from 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night, and that's how. And we got 1 day off every 2 weeks, and so I was glad to get out of there. It was when I was shipped overseas to New Guinea, and when I was shipped to New Guinea, we were shipped up to New York. Went out of New York Harbor, went through the Panama Canal, and I spent 48 days on a boat getting to New Guinea. And we had an escort, and there must have been about 6 or 7 ships that was in, and then we had the Coast Guard had escorts on each side, two escorts on each side going through went through the Panama Canal and then down to Pacific Ocean down to New Guinea. And I was in New Guinea for about, I'll roughly say 16 months, I guess, in New Guinea. It was heaven compared to what we worked in the States, because in the States we worked from 6 o'clock till 6 o'clock, and in New Guinea we worked from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and that was it. And Saturdays and Sundays was off. So it was very pleasant. It was kind of warm. No, it wasn't too bad. And one of the things I do remember in taking a shower, these showers were open showers. And they had a big water tank up, and if you were the first one to get in the shower, you got a warm shower because the pipes got warm. See, in New Guinea, the sun was out all the time, and these pipes would be warmed up, and if you got in the first thing in the shower, you got a warm shower. But if you waited 5 minutes later, you got a cold shower. So everybody would try to beat it and try to get in there and get a little warm shower. And these showers were, all they had was a fence around with pipes running across, and turn your faucet on and take a shower, and that was it.
Now, did you have any problems with supplies or anything when you were in New Guinea?
No, no, we didn't have anything at all.
We're pretty well supplied.
Oh yeah, it was good. The only thing one of the things that I do remember, as far as in a mess hall, one thing that I do remember, that they always had, jelly for your toast, and naturally American-made jelly. It didn't last very long, and then every once in a while we'd get this jelly from Australia, and it was the most bitterest marmalade jelly or jam or whatever it was. I mean, it was really, really bitter, and that thing stayed on there for about a month before that jar would be empty. But the American jelly,
go through pretty quick.
It went that one day that was gone, really. So, and another thing that we used to be kidded about too. They had problems with, I don't know what kind of bugs. They were real tiny black bugs, and they couldn't get them out of the bread. So when they made the bread, these little black bugs were in there, and they would say, "Churko, did you find those black bugs?" Get them out, especially if it was toast. Nah, just forget it. So we had things like that going on. And
Okay.
so it was just kind of pleasant. That didn't bother us one bit, really.
So, okay. So when you're in New Guinea, you're crew chief of a particular plane.
Yeah, crew chief of the mechanics that were working, because I had a rank of staff sergeant. So
yeah, and you're talking about removing the engines. How long would that take
How long?
per engine? Yeah.
Oh, it would take too long, because you worked 12 hours, so
Mhm.
it didn't take long to pull off an engine and stick another one back on, and within 24 hours it was ready to go.
Okay. Now, were there any problems with the B-24s?
No, we never had any particular problems at all.
No, okay.
Unless the mechanics, I know one time one of the oil hose came loose and splattered oil all over the place. And actually, they brought it in safely, but it was kind of a mess to get it cleaned up. Sometimes it didn't tighten up the clamp on the oil clamps, you know,
Mhm.
and the hose would slip off or something. But that only happened once, really, as far as I know.
Okay. So, all right. But so you guys didn't run into any problems with your planes?
No,
Kept pretty well,
no,
pretty well maintained.
no,
All right.
no. It was strictly training. See, the training pilots is what it was. In other words, you might call it rear echelon.
Right. Okay.
And so all he was doing is training pilots, get them ready, and they would be shipped overseas. And I was in Murfreesboro, maybe about 16 months or so, and then finally shipped out.
Was Murfreesboro one of the bases that they set up after the war started? As part of mobilization plan, Murfreesboro?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, that was a training place.
Yeah.
So training for pilots, and actually, somebody had to do the mechanic. It's B-24s now. This is B-24.
Right. It was just 4-engine.
Yeah.
That's a rather large plane.
Yeah. And so working on those really.
Okay. Now, when you were going through basic, your training regimen.
Well, my basic training was in Moody Field in Valdosta, Georgia, when I first went in.
Right.
And that's where basic training was. And then from there, I was shipped to Biloxi, Mississippi. I went to a B-24 mechanic school then.
Right.
And spent, I can't recall just how many months, but it was probably more than 6 months, I think. Went to Biloxi, Mississippi to B-24 school, mechanic school.
Okay.
It was.
And as a mechanic, you didn't work on just the engines. You worked on the whole plane, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, mainly engines.
mainly engines.
Because everybody had separate. Those worked on the fuselage and repairing fuselages if there was, but you didn't have that particular problem because we didn't have any combat, really, because it was strictly training.
Right. Okay.
Rear echelon training is all it was.
Okay.
And I remember when I was in New Guinea, naturally there were a few Japanese, because the Japanese invaded New Guinea, and then finally they were pushed. MacArthur pushed the Japanese out, but there was still a few people left in the woods, I guess, and I don't know how they survived. But we noticed that every once in a while that they would get in the garbage can and get food out of the garbage can, these Japanese. They would get in there and finally put padlocks on them, really.
Okay.
And on it. But there were just a few Japanese that was left behind.
Up in the hills, like
As
in
MacArthur, went up the coastline of New Guinea, and then he finally went up into the Philippines.
Where were you at in New Guinea? Do you remember?
Nadzab.
Nadzab. Okay.
I think that's what. And a lot of supplies came from Australia then too. We had supplies where guys would go down there. We had every once in a while they would go down there and to get their supplies, and then they would come back and bring them like the marmalade that they bring back.
They bring back anything else?
Well, then they would bring back cigarettes and stuff too.
Okay.
But,
did you run into any Australian troops while you were in New Guinea?
No. That was.
So you were basically with just American troops?
Yeah, I remember one time when I was in New Guinea, we hired a native and went on a hike and big lake, and he took us up a real beautiful lake. He took us up, and in fact, we had to walk across a stream to get there, and he took care of us and took us across the stream and took us up to this beautiful lake up there. And actually, this native, we paid him, and these natives were, the natives didn't bother us, and we didn't bother them at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so as far as in New Guinea, that was, and in fact, their camp was not too far down the road, really, from our camp, so it never bothered them at all.
Okay. So you got along pretty well as long as you left each other alone.
Yeah, tend to our business.
Okay. So besides changing engine, what else would go on during your typical day in New Guinea?
In New Guinea?
Yeah.
Nothing. Well, one time we went out to the ocean on one of the fellas that was in charge got the Jeep, and we went out to the ocean and went out there and swam a little bit. That was about it, but we didn't do it but once or twice is all.
Okay. But, during your typical day, I mean, what was your routine? Besides,
During the day?
Yeah.
Just aircraft mechanic is all. There was nothing whole lot to do, really.
Just do your job.
Yeah, do our job, and that was it.
All right. So, okay. Now, when you were in the Philippines for that amount of time.
No, it didn't go anywhere in the Philippines at all. I mean, we just stayed on the base. Stayed on the base. In fact, I remember when we were shipped to the Philippines, and as soon as we got to the shores of the Philippines, and actually Manila, which was close in the Manila, and one of the things they told us, he says, now, you better run shotgun on that truck, because our duffel bags are all loaded up on a big semi-truck.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, you better write, and the guard said, you better have somebody write shotgun. He says, those Filipinos will hop up on a truck and throw your bags off, your duffel bags off of there and steal it.
Wow.
So you had to have somebody running shotgun through Manila to the Philippines till we got to the base.
Now, this was after the liberation of Manila, so Manila was pretty fought over.
Oh yeah,
Was it?
Yeah, when I got to Manila, I wasn't there but maybe a month or so, and all of a sudden the war was over, and I was so surprised. And within 3 days, we were shipped out and ended up in San Francisco, and that was it. And got mustered out.
What did Manila look like? I mean, it has a reputation for being really fought over. I mean, was it pretty bombed out?
Well, we never went out. We stayed at the base. We never went through. The only time I went through Manila was on a truck, and that was it. So I didn't spend any time because, like I say, it's more or less hostile, I guess. And they would jump on a truck and throw your duffel bags off, and so they said it best stay away.
Okay. Now, when you went to the Philippines, did you get on another troop transport ship, or did you fly?
Oh yeah, we had on a boat. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Transported on a boat, and same way we shipped home too, out of the Philippines.
I was on the boat.
Didn't seem very long to get back to the States, though. I mean, it was short.
Anticipation.
But, the only trip that I remember was really is going from New York through the Panama Canal to New Guinea, which was 48 days on a boat, and that was pretty rough, really.
Was the food pretty good on a boat?
Huh?
Was the food pretty good on a boat?
No, well, I mean, the only thing is, the boat I went to New Guinea on was a British and assault boat.
Okay.
This was a British assault boat, so it was not a troop ship at all.
Okay.
It was just an assault boat. In fact, this boat, they told us that it also been on the invasion of Normandy. And then when they got through with the invasion of Normandy, they put that into service and sent the boat to the United States, and so therefore it was an assault boat, really. So it wasn't a troop ship at all. But there was 1,000 GIs on on that boat, so it wasn't that pleasant, really. With the GIs, and it was just one of those assault boats on there. And one of the things I do remember that being a British boat, at 11 o'clock they always had up spirits. They would get a little shot of rum, I guess, and the commander of our outfit says, no, we don't need, they was going to give us rum, but the commander said, no, we don't need it. So we didn't get the rum. And I noticed these British sailors then they would save it up, because they would just get a little shot, and they would save it up, and by the end of the week they would have a nice bottle of rum, really.
Benefits of interacting with other services from other nations, I guess. Okay. So it was pretty crowded when you were on your transport too.
Oh yeah, well, being an assault boat, and I think there was about 1,000 of us. I think they said it was about 1,000 of us on that assault. But it was a convoy. When we went, there was something like 6 or 7 ships. When we left New York, went to the Panama Canal, and we had 2 Coast Guards escorting us down. Went through, and then we went through the equator. They let us know when we went past the equator.
So yeah, was it different? A different feeling being on the other side of the equator when you're?
No,
it was just hot all the time.
No, right? No change at all. Didn't seem to do anything. But they let us know when we crossed the equator.
Okay. But I mean, when you're in New Guinea, though, you're on the other side of the equator. I mean, the seasons are a little different.
Yeah.
Was it you know?
Yeah, I didn't feel any different, really.
Okay.
As far as being on a different part of the world.
So, okay, now in New Guinea, when you're on a base, and you're doing your job. You said you got off about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So what'd you do after that? Did they have recreational things for you?
Oh yeah, well we had a rec hall, and mainly it was ping pong, and naturally you had a place where you can buy candy bars and stuff. So we had a chance to place where we at least play ping pong or something.
And you do laundry, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay. Did you guys get movies and that kind of stuff too? I mean, to watch?
No, that's something we didn't have. We didn't have any movies at all.
Okay.
We didn't have it. You know, you see it on some of these places where they had movies, but we didn't have any movies at all.
Okay.
It was pretty quiet, and nothing a lot to do, except like once in a while, like I say, on weekends we'd take a little hike, a native or something like that, our leader would get the Jeep, because he could get a hold of a Jeep, and we'd go out to the ocean and take a little swim, and that's about it.
Going back, you said you were in the 3 C's.
Yeah.
And that's stands for?
Well, I was in high school. I was in high school, really. I was in high school and living with my dad, and it was kind of rough, because my dad always wanted me to quit school and go to work, but I just refused, and instead, so by being egged on, after my junior year, I just went into the 3 C's for a year, and came back. When I came back was in October, and went back and finished my high school.
And the 3 C's was part of the...
I was up in Montana.
That was the...
Bozeman, Montana.
Okay.
And
that was the Civilian Conservation Corps, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just about, well, it was about, the camp was about roughly 20-25 miles out of Bozeman, Montana is where the camp was. So. And we didn't have any our own transportation. If we did do it, we went in on a big semi-truck and went into town that way for a little while, and that was about it.
Do you think that helped prepare you for the service? That being in the 3 C's, do you think that helped you when you went in?
Maybe to some extent, getting along. I had it, well, when I was in the 3 Cs, I was what they call a dog robber. A dog robber, but I did, I was so little, see, and so what they did, the other fellows went out and did the logging. They did logging, and what they did was made fence posts. They went out and they figured I was just too little, because my body size is too little. So I got a job as what they call a dog robber. In other words, a dog robber would take care of the officers' quarters. I would make their beds, keep their quarters clean, and then fix their breakfast. I would fix their breakfast and lunch and supper, because they had, and a superintendent, because the superintendent that took care of the fellows that went out on work. And so I went ahead and took care of it, and the captain would come in maybe a little late. I would see to it that I'd fix him his eggs and everything else, and fix him up. And then during the time that I had, I took the captain's fishing rod and went into the Galton River and fished for rainbow trout. And I caught rainbow trout, and then I told him that I had some rainbow trout, and which was in a cooler. And he said, well, fix it up. And so breakfast, I would fix this rainbow trout up for these foremans and the captain, and they had rainbow trout for breakfast. So I had it easy when I was in the 3 Cs, really.
Okay. Yeah, that was during the Depression, so that was part of Roosevelt's.
Yeah,
30s. Out of that.
What was that? 37, 38, somewhere around there.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. You talked about how they wouldn't let you have any pay on your transport out because of the gambling.
Yeah.
You had to send it home. If you don't mind, the British troops always complained that we were overpaid. How much did you make, if that's okay to ask?
I think I got $20 a month. The rest of it was sent home. I think it was $60 being staff sergeant. I think it was like $60 that I got being a staff sergeant.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure on that, because when we signed up, they said, well, you don't need all this money, so better send some of it home. So, keep you from gambling. They had something in their mind, really, because they knew what they were doing. And they haven't had access money nowhere else to spend it, but maybe some candy bar, and that's about it.
Okay. So you had a pretty good sized bank account when you got out then.
Oh yeah.
So since
my sister put in the bank.
Yeah.
So I had, I don't know, it wasn't a whole lot of money. I think, if I remember right, it must have been about $900 that I had when I got home, and my sister took care of it.
Okay. There's not a whole lot of places to spend money in New Guinea, is there?
No. The only thing you could get was candy bar or something like that. There was nothing really.
Cook every once in a while.
Yeah. We didn't have any elaborate canteens or anything, and that was it.
Was your base in New Guinea? Was it still tents, or was it they had some prefab structures up, or permanent structures? I mean, what?
Tent. No, we lived in tents.
In tents.
Yeah.
So it was kind of.
Yeah. It was screened off real good too. The tents were screened, so make sure we didn't have any
mosquitoes
and stuff like that. So.
Okay.
And they always had us. They had rations, and you could either get once a month you would either get beer or cigarettes, and I'd get cigarettes once in a while, or cigars, and I wouldn't smoke, but I knew the other guys would want it, so I just sold it to them. And so once in a while I would get some beer. Trouble is, the beer was be under the cot, and it was warm, and no place to cool it off, so I was drinking warm beer, which is, I didn't care for it, so my buddies would drink it more than anything. Just to get it, that's all. I mean, as far as that goes. So we had, and the cigarettes were lousy Chesterfield cigarettes, and they're the lousiest cigarettes you can get a hold of.
So, Okay. When you got out of the service, they shipped you home. Where did they ship you to?
Well, Toledo, I got,
Okay, so
I got, well, I can't remember, just, was in, it was mustered out in Indiana, whatever that base is in Indiana there,
okay.
down south of Indianapolis or something. They got mustered out and
Okay.
shipped us home, and that was it.
Okay. And when you started going to school after the war, did you use GI Bill to do that?
Yeah.
Did that?
Yeah.
You'd been in such a long time that did they pick up most of, or almost all your college?
Just about, yeah, just about all of it, yeah. Yeah, it was almost 100% really.
Was it so?
Room and board and everything was.
Everything. So it was a good thing.
Yeah, it was a good thing really.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any only personal expenses I mainly had, and that was it.
So, okay. Do you want to go in after you got married and what you did after that?
Well, when I got married, got married in Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and the minister was the university minister that performed the ceremony, and we got married downtown in the Methodist Church, really, down here. And she taught, and then when I got out, when I finally left the university, I went to and taught in Gravette, Arkansas. I taught a year in Gravette, Arkansas. Taught plane geometry and algebra, and because I had a mechanical engineering degree, so I had all the math and science and chemistry and physics.
Right.
So I didn't have any particular problem there. So it was so I taught for a year, and then from there I left and went to Marietta, and I went to Marietta College to get my Ohio teaching certificate. So I had to take other courses besides, the student teaching, and I taught student teaching at Marietta High School and naturally I took courses like calculus and took an English literature course, because you couldn't just take student teaching, you had to take other courses along with it. So I took English literature, which was, I'll never forget Beowulf, English. It was terrific, and he was a sabbatical professor from University of Maine, and he was real good.
Okay.
And I can't recall his name, and so in fact, he kidded us about it. We had a big snowfall, must have been a 27-inch snowfall in Marietta that time. He says, "We don't let school out on snow like this. We always have school up in Maine." He's talking about Maine, because they would call off school. That one day we had 27 inches of snow in Marietta there, and they called school off. So it was real nice. He was a real pleasant guy in English course, taking an English course. Because I had to take it because of student teaching, and I took student teaching at Marietta High School and got it, and so I finally got certified and got my teaching certificate that way.
Okay. What did you do after that?
Yeah. And another thing that would surprise me, my critic teacher in high school, in Marietta High School, taught in Waynesville under Raymond Hatfield. And Raymond Hatfield was either a principal or teacher, but eventually Raymond Hatfield became county superintendent. And so right away, and he called Marietta and this critic teacher, because she taught here and with Hatfield, and called him and checked up on me, see what kind of teacher I would make. So apparently she made a pretty good recommendation, so I got the job. So I taught chemistry and physics and plane geometry and algebra, so some of those good solid subjects. And another thing too, I didn't have too many students. I was lucky to have maybe 75 students all, for the day, because you know, there weren't too many. Well, chemistry class were a little larger, but physics class were small. Physics class would maybe about 9 students, and chemistry class would be about 16 students. And I know one of the social studies teachers went to the school board and complained about it, that I only had so many students, and he had almost 150 to 200 kids in social studies, you know, 7th and 8th grade. Yeah. And he went to the school board and complained about it. And I'll be darned if they didn't give me 7th and 8th grade science after that. So, you know, it's professional jealousy. You know what I mean? So that didn't go too well with me, really. I mean, and to me, I was climbing a wall with 7th and 8th grade students. Here I was a chemistry and physics teacher, and here put me down to general science and 7th and 8th grade science, and that driving me up a wall.
Okay. All right. We're almost done here. Is there anything you'd like to say for the record for historians that'll see this, or future people that'll?
Well, one of the things that I'm blessed with that somehow the Lord led me to John Brown University, a Christian college, and went to school there for 3 years. I mean, while I had one summer school, because after that summer school they didn't have it, just one year there. So one summer school plus 3 years, and I graduated. And I think I had something like 40 credit hours when I graduated, because I took something like 20 hours per semester. So I had quite a bit of credit hours when I graduated. So that's quite a bit. And then naturally, when I graduated, I got a job at Gravette, Arkansas. Taught there a year, and then from there I went back to Marietta, and went to Marietta College, and got that teaching certificate by going to Marietta College and getting my practice teaching at Marietta High School. Then from there, naturally, I got a job and ended up in Waynesville, and taught here for 26 years in Waynesville, and which was enjoyable, because like I say, when you teach the upper class, chemistry and physics and algebra and geometry, you always had the best students. I didn't have any students that would create any particular problems or anything.
All right. So, okay. Anything else?
I can't think of anything else really, except I know I enjoyed college and played softball. In college, we had our own intramurals and played softball and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I was a clown in college. I mean, and one of the Hobek teachers built me a clown suit. So I was turned out to be a clown. Because we had our own, and I was president of the engineering club, and then on St. Patrick's Day I would declare no school for that day. What was that, March 17th or something, St. Patrick's Day, and I would declare it. I didn't tell anybody. I just declared it and announced it, no school, and they all accepted. The faculty, everybody accepted, and then I made an arrangement that. Then we'd have a parade, and we'd go downtown and had a big parade. The Engineers Club would have a parade, go downtown. In fact, I got a movie at home, I think, if I can dig it up someplace.
Okay.
And so I more or less went on my own and did what I wanted to do, and they never went along with it. So it was a small crowd. It was only I think there was only about 600 students at that time. At that college, really. Okay.
So, all right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
For helping out, and put this. This will be transcribed and be put into the
archives,
Library of Congress and National Archives. So,
yeah.
Thank you very much.